Hey everyone, and welcome back to my completionist playthrough of the Baldur's Gate Saga with SCS, and in this episode it is time for us to set out on a journey to the Windspear Hills. Apparently an Etin ambushed us along the way, but a lone Etin, of course, never stood a chance against us. Also, while I'm thinking about it, we still have that minor sequencer to set up on Edwin, and before I forget again, let's just do it right now. And put 2 glitter dusts in there. Alright, and now we can continue. And upon our arrival in the Windspear Hills, we are beset by some beasts, but apparently some pretty well-spoken beasts, and a couple of conversation options reflect that. But they refer to us as beasts. Curs, your terror ends here. Let's talk about this. No more words. Your lies will taint this land no longer. Your crimes will trouble the people not a second more. So we don't really know what their deal is. But here we have a group of beasts, some ogres, baby wyvern, a gnoll. This whole situation seems pretty suspicious. Yeah, they all become hostile. It always results in a fight. And with SCS, you know, this is a very simple encounter still, but they have some potions. They are a little bit more intelligent, of course, trying to target Edwin here.
Nothing else to do but bother me.
What is it?
I tore myself strike you down.
Next time.
Let's kind of reposition so that we can see their corpses here.
Helm's Beard, what have we done? A most foul ruse has been played upon this company. Innocents are slain, the lifeblood of the Order stains the ground at my feet. What have we done?
So Sir Animan is pretty shaken about the fact that, as you can see, the corpses here changed to their true forms, or that of some human knights, apparently. It was all an illusion. These are paladins and knights of the most noble order of the Radiant Heart. I know this man, Agentis. He was a noble man, but now is dead by our hand. So, of course, this is very unfortunate how Agentis appears in Baldur's Gate 2. A very sad end for the character, especially if you had him in Baldur's Gate 1 and if you like him. But unless you have Animan or Keldorn in your party, you wouldn't even know that he was among the knights that we've killed. So of course Animan suggests that we go and find the person or the creature that has orchestrated this kind of situation. And yeah, it was an illusion, so these knights appeared as beasts to us, and we must have appeared as beasts to them, because of course how they talked to us, speaking that our evil was at an end and whatnot. But here we're just going to wait for a certain character.
What goes on here? I've seen many a strange thing in my time, but the events of the past few moments tops them all.
Who are you that can change shape so readily, and why have you slain these beasts that become men? I'm just about to say that we're supposed to wait for Garren here, but he showed out pretty quickly. Anyway, it appears that I have been tricked into killing these knights. That is the conclusion I've come to, though the priests of Helm will not believe what has happened. They will seek justice, and only your heads will suffice. And if we didn't have that conversation with Animan already, but we did have Keldorn, he would now chime in into the conversation and say that it's true, that he recognized some of the knights, and he would also say that, you know, Agentis was among them. But since we already had that conversation with Animan that is a little bit more elaborate, I guess, this doesn't play out with Keldorn speaking. I suggest that you take Sanctuary with me until you can discover how this unfortunate event came to pass. So he beckons us to follow to his cabin. I've also looted one of these like hidden stashes in the Windspear Hills, and we're going to talk about them a little bit more later. And now let's just go on in.
Ah, you have arrived. I thought you might. Best that you learn all you can of your situation before you go off getting killed.
You have been cruelly tricked. So Garren Winspear, as you can see, is a very good-hearted, kind person. You are not the first to suffer because of falsehoods and trickery. I have undergone the same, though my trial was less bloody. I was once lord of this land and had many halls across the heart of Amn. Taken from me it was almost overnight, and I still bear the scars in my dreams. I am content now, having found solace in the quiet of the wood, but I will forevermore curse the name of Lord Jierdan Firkraag. And of course, we have heard this name before. We have had some dealings with this person even. And because if you remember way back in the beginning of the playthrough, when we first visited the Copper Coronet, he had a mission for us, and he hired us to apparently stop some kind of invasion on his lands here in the Windspear Hills. So we can inform of that, or we can tell that to Garren. It is true to his style, organizing an elaborate plot to discredit a rival. I do not understand why he would target you, however. My case was obvious. He sought my lands, so he discredited me. There were missing people only he could find, banditry only he could stop, solutions to problems I am sure he caused. In the end, my properties were razed in a single night. The people lost faith in me and my influence crumbled. Now it would seem he has targeted you. But why? I do not know. Perhaps you slighted him in some way without even knowing. He seems quite single-minded in his purposes. What I do know is that he is not the worst of your worries. The most noble order of the Radiant Heart will seek your death if something is not done quickly. I have friends among the Order. I will speak with them as quickly as possible. Perhaps I can persuade them to look on you with mercy. I can but try. And basically, if you refuse to go with Garren here, and advance the plot in this way here, and you go back to Athkatla, you are actually going to be hunted by the Knights of the Radiant Heart. When traveling through the districts of Athkatla, there is always going to be a chance that these Knights are going to spawn and engage in a fight with you. Trying to, deal with the killer of one, of like their squad of knights, I guess. It is not a problem. I have found peace where I am, but any enemy of Lord Jierdan is a friend of mine. Make my home yours until I return with good news. And he always gets stuck there. So now his son appears, Tar, a very similar name to Dar, from Imnisvale, and there is no romance plot involved here, but depending on what gender your protagonist is, this is going to be different. Since we are playing a female, he has a son, but if we were playing a male protagonist, he would have a daughter addressing us here. Father has much faith in you, that you are genuinely pained at what has happened. Faith is very important to him. Please do not disappoint him. And of course we would not dream of it. He is a very cool guy, likable fellow, and honorable, perhaps too honorable. He could not match the tactics of Lord Jierdan, and now hides his shame. Please, I would ask you to shame this Firkraag as he shamed my father. Say shame one more time. I dare you. Lord Jierdan Firkraag deserves to be hurt. I trust you will do your best, if not for my father, then for yourself. And this whole situation with the most noble order of the Radiant Heart makes more sense if you visit here early, because right now, of course, we are very well known to the order. We have had, we have in our party Keldorn, a long-standing member of the order. We have Sir Animan, a knight that has proven himself worthy to become a knight there. We have also cooperated with Sir Ryan Troll, who by now knows us very well, to get rid of these fallen paladins in Athkatla, and we have a stellar 20 reputation, of course. So it's, doesn't make that much sense that the Order would all of a sudden, try to hunt us down without really seeking any answers as to what happened. But, yeah. Now we're going to rest until Garren returns from Athkatla, but first we have his servant barging in, sounding the alarm, kind of, saying that there are bandits approaching. So we should check this situation out.
There are many ways of dealing with such as you.
So here they come already, and they have kidnapped Tar, teleported him out. And here we have Plath Red Edge. And also, just about the name, if you remember from Baldur's Gate 1, when we did these thieving quests with Narlen Darkwalk, he actually referenced an accomplice of his called Red Edge, or with the nickname Red Edge, I guess, that we never see in-game, but, he is there during those heists, apparently. Anyway, she says, "We have taken Garren's child. Now it is time for his bothersome friends to die." Alright, so... Anyway, your destruction will continue regardless, at Firkraag's request. Your ruin continues with the devastation of Garren Winspear in your name. Away goes his child from under your nose, and I wonder who shall bear the blame. Lord Firkraag watches with amusement as you die a public death again and again, so much more entertaining than simple killing. So of course we can be aggressive in our response here. Your reputation is defiled, and if we kill you now, your memory will live on in shame. This is revenge against those beyond reach, against friends of yours that were enemies long past. So she provides us with a little bit of an answer of why Firkraag targeted us. I think we might go for a little fun backstab here. Anyway, let's wait for them to go hostile. This is another pretty simple encounter. In general, a lot of the encounters here are going to be simple now that you know, we do it as one of the last things before progressing the main story. Of course, now we have some levels, we have equipment, you know, we have a good party composition and whatnot. But you know, if we visited here very early, these encounters would pose more of a challenge, of course. Might even throw in a little magic missiles here. She just has some basic cleric buffs. And now we can go in for that backstab. 66 damage with that.
Speak, it will be done.
I will do what I can to help you.
And now Garren appears. My son is gone. I left this place in your care. No, I know it was not you. I know my enemies. Damn Jierdan Firkraag. What is his grief with me?
This must end. I cannot live under this shadow, under his heel.
Yeah, so I would see it end as well. I will rescue your child, no matter the risk. Yeah, so he suggests that Firkraag might be hiding in some ruins to the northeast. You will travel unmolested, for my pleas of your virtue were heard at the Radiant Heart. They demand justice for the slain, so that is your task now. Yeah.
Fortune smiles upon us. With this selfless act, we could restore some small part of our stolen honor. Helm has not forgotten us.
Yes?
Right, there are some containers here in his home and in the other room, but there's basically nothing in them. But we are going to loot these bandits. They have some goodies. Oh, and Plath actually had another one of these good, like, Throne of Ball potions. And we have Spell Shield here, which is very nice. Alright, and that's it.
Speak.
And here comes Jom again. They say not to tell Garren, so I don't. This message meant for you. Bandits give it to me and then let me live. So we get a note from Firkraag. Sinashira, I give you the opportunity to earn back your honor and more. This game is interesting, but it drags on and on. Come, let us meet and decide who is the better person, in quotations. In the northeast is our battleground. You will know it. I think it should be when you see it, or something like that. Yes, I think you will know. Alright, Firkraag. We'll go to the northeast in a second. But first we're going to explore the area a little bit, and now that we have the Boots of Speed, it's going to be pretty enjoyable revealing the map. And anyway, here's another stash, and this one has a Star Sapphire, and that's basically the only one that has something like of note. There's, I think, one more in the area. But, like I said before, these stashes in Baldur's Gate 2, the developers had a different philosophy, I guess, when making them. Because I think, because of the version of the Infinity Engine, just a single wild dog. Usually there's an Ankh egg here.
What is it? This will not take long.
Anyway, because, you know, this was the upgraded version of the Infinity Engine, with a tab, of course, like highlighting places like that, interactable containers and whatnot. You know, I guess that was the reason why they decided not to include like anything too good, because these stashes aren't like truly hidden. Or, you know, and actually in Windspear Hills, they are pretty easy to miss. But, you know, of course they are not nearly as hidden as they were in Baldur's Gate 1. Alright, for once, I think we might not have damaged ourselves with our, again, as our Scorcher.
Yes, I'm listening. What is it? Speak.
I'm just even going to leave these arrows, not to waste like too much time here.
Yes, it will be done.
Alright, here in the southeast, there's going to be a conclusion to a quest that we have had from the very, very beginning of the game. If you remember these dryads or nymphs that Irenicus had held captive in his lair, they gave us the acorns and wanted us to give these acorns to their queen in the Windspear Hills to free them. So finally we got to that now, and we can get rid of these acorns and finally, you know, free these
The trees speak of your presence.
these nymphs. A pretty one, since we are playing a female, she has a different line here. Have you come to join the merriment for all eternity? Not really. But you have these acorns, you see. I've been waiting for you. Yulene, Kanya, and Alaim must have their trees replanted so that they might be free.
Nature knows much of you.
Alright, so they get ported in now. Senashira has saved us. Can our trees be saved? Has Irenicus doomed us? Nay, little sister. You are not doomed. So Lila is going to be like a deer spirit. That's going to escort everyone to safety, I guess. And she's going to warn us about some danger, some evil nearby, referencing the ruins again. And we get some experience from that.
Protect me.
Protect me. Okay,
Speak.
now that this is done, finally this quest from the prologue is now finished. We can keep exploring.
Without doubt.
You know what? Just don't even waste my time. Ah, and I aimed the fireball a little bit away so that this groundhog can survive.
You will fall by my hand.
I was a little worried for him.
Speak.
I wasn't sure if I aimed that fireball
Quickly and precisely.
sufficiently like far away. But anyway, we're going to explore a little bit more of this area. There can be ankegs about, or goblins, or orcs. And here is another you know, area where you can get some ankeg shells. But of course, the ankeg shells that you get in the bridge district is the easiest and the earliest that you can get. And I'm mentioning it now because we haven't visited Cromwell yet, the dwarven smith that can craft some items for us. And yeah, there's a group of goblins here. But we are going to do that
This will not take
soon. And I didn't really visit him because we didn't have a reason to do so, and also while crafting items with him, it advances time. It advances 24 hours for every item he makes. So we're going to make use of that a little bit later in order to progress time so that we can get to further stronghold quests. Here are the ruins, by the way. We're going to go there last.
Yes.
And we didn't, like I said, we didn't really have much of a reason to craft anything earlier because, you know, the ankeg shell that you can find in Athkatla can be very useful early on if you have certain characters like Viconia, for example. That's a very good armor for her because of how light the ankeg plate armors were, or are. But in our case, we never really had, you know, a character
What is it?
that would make use of that kind of armor. So here we have a group of fighters, apparently, fighting some gnolls. And we can just snipe minimal amounts of experience here before they kill them. And here, of course, as usual, feel free to pause and read the whole conversation in detail for yourself, because it is quite funny how some of these guys bicker among themselves. And they're going to give out some clues that they are not quite who they seem, saying something about their hairless form that they can easily shift out of, and they're going to also mention that they go through a lot of sets of clothes. Yeah, bad form for a pack to appear as such. So you can already kind of, you know, put two and two together, I guess, if you listen closely to their conversation. It's basically two guys that really dislike each other, and the conversation between them is pretty funny. But they are going to direct their attention to us now. They're going to say something about, you know, killing us and taking our clothes that they need, and also using us as food, I think. So they are werewolves. Well, that was rude. Alright, finally. Like I said, this conversation is quite funny if you want to pause and read for yourself. But anyway, these are not going to be a big deal. There's going to be a group of werewolves inside the ruins. That's tougher because they have some greater werewolves among them. And especially if you visit the ruins early, they can pose a little bit of a problem because of their regen and the requirement for magical weapons. But of course for us it's not going to be a big deal. And that's basically it. When it comes to the area, let's just reveal a little bit more of the map. This was like the last notable encounter here. This is of course in the northwest was where we arrived, and I said I looted this, but did I really loot this? Yeah. Double check.
Yes.
Alright, so now let's teleport closer to the ruins and see what we can find in here.
Without speak. Yes, quickly and precisely.
This is a pretty nice area visually, very different.
What is it?
What's our time? We have some time. Let's go inside then. Right, so here we have some hobgoblins and Chieftain Digdag saying that we are too early, earlier than expected, I guess. So he's going to go warn Firkraag, I guess. And I guess we're just going to throw a little fireball to soften them up. Those are basically groups of hobgoblins very similar to the ones that we have met in the sewers beneath the Copper Coronet, so of course, well, they did get a hold person off. Don't let him get away.
Point the sword, and I shall strike.
Yes.
Yes, this will not take long.
He didn't manage to escape. We leave no survivors, of course.
That item has been dropped.
Or at least we aim to leave no survivors.
Speak if it must be
Right,
done.
and well, I kind of wanted to use some wands with Edwin, but I'm not going to wait so long as to like stand about there until his hold person dissipates, because there's going to be another group of hobgoblins just like that.
Yes.
And you know what, we might actually go for some Ganazar Scorcher.
I hear you well enough.
What is it?
Boom! Yes! Okay, now some vampiric mists are coming to us, so let's switch these boots to Animan and give him the amulet. So that he is immune to level drain and he can approach them. They can make themselves invisible, unfortunately, and they can drain levels, but if we take their attention with Animan and turn undead, he's going to be able to deal with them pretty effectively.
I await your need.
What is it now? Helm guides my path.
Actually, let's not go so far in there,
Yes, direct me as you will.
because there's a couple of encounters in this cave, and I don't want them to like,
What is it?
because of SCS awareness, you know, to like join up, and I don't want to fight all of these people together, because, well, there is one notable opponent to the north of here. It's going to be a type of Rakshasa. Okay, Edwin is still held.
Speak, certainly.
As the best leaders also follow.
Yes, without
Okay.
doubt.
So for the encounter over there, we need to buff Senashira up a little bit. We're going to give her some physical protections, we're going to give her
Shall strike.
chaotic commands. And we're going to give her at least a spell immunity to Abjuration. And I'm even thinking about giving her spell immunity to Alteration, because I think that Rakshasa over there can have Sphere of Chaos. That can be extremely deadly if we don't have an immunity against it. But what is life without risk? Let's risk it, I guess, and just wait a little bit. Because there's going to be a group of opponents that we have not met before, very unique to here. Some kamikaze kobolds that are going to explode upon death. So we're just going to throw a fireball in there once this guy, this Rook Transmuter, says his line. And he's basically a type of Rakshasa, a pretty dangerous one. I think he's level 15, so our Dispel magic and Remove magic, which he is susceptible to, it's going to have some chance of working, and we're going to try those, but not, you know, a very high likelihood of working. And unfortunately he is immune to Breach. He is like properly immune to all 7 spell levels that he is supposed to be immune, even though we have that component from SCS about reliable Breach, but he is immune to it still. Anyway, let's throw in a fireball, get rid of these kamikazes. Alright, and now we're going to go... He's actually susceptible to fire, although he has a ring that grants him some resistance. And I really don't understand why he was actually hit by this fireball. He is supposed to be immune to level 3 spells, and he normally yeah, should get the spell ineffective message. Oh yeah, I get it. It's it's not the fireball. Fireball gave the message spell ineffective, but the fire damage that he got hit by was from the kamikaze explosions from the kobolds, and that's not a spell, I guess. Okay, so here we can go and try to fight him. Let's just... Oh yeah. Do you have any pre-buffs? Yes, you do. You have improved invisibility, and I think we can approach carefully with our other characters. Maybe have Keldorn, because I don't want Kiranai to be anywhere close and to detect illusions. And Senashira has True Sight, but I'm not sure if I want to use her True Sight here. I would like to have Keldorn's True Sight active, but I should have had my party a little bit closer. Alright, so he has protection from magical weapons, and because he is a Rakshasa, he is immune to non-magical weapons, so we just can't, you know, go in and try to cut through his protections. Actually, Keldorn, we are going to throw in a little Dispel magic in there, see if it is effective. Alright, it was effective, so we can go and try to kill this guy with our physical damage. We don't have to outlast his stuff. So he has a contingency with Stone Skin, so we're going to have to cut through that. But Senashira, right now, for a little bit longer... Okay, that's the Sphere of Chaos. She should be safe from his tricks. As long as we stay outside of that Sphere of Chaos. And I don't want to bring Keldorn too much closer, but I would like to have that True Sight from him. Alright, he did use Spell Thrust on us, which dispelled our spell immunity, which I am going to renew, because we are not going to take any chances. Alright, and now we can... Is he casting... Yeah, Chaos on Keldorn. I'm just going to bring Keldorn far away. Alright, it didn't work. Yeah, Keldorn was too close to this Rakshasa, and some attention this Rakshasa elected to pay to Keldorn. Alright, so now we also have a Cloud Kill, which I'm going to move out of. Alright, triple Skull Trap, which our mirror images soaked some of the damage, but one got through. So I'm going to renew our mirror images and just continue the fight. What's his health status? Injured. We're still far from being done here. Okay, he has another Stone Skin, and I think I might even throw in a little... yeah, it's not you who has that. Throw in a little Potion of Heroism to improve Senashira's chances to hit. Just get close enough to throw that potion, I guess. Pass it over.
What is it?
Alright. We weren't particularly successful in trying to interrupt the spells of this guy. As I've said, you know, this mechanic isn't as reliable as it might seem sometimes. You know, do I want to have another mirror images cast? Another set of them cast here? Okay, he has another stone skin, number like 4 really, if we count his pre-buffs. Alright, we do need something to protect Sinashira here. Alright, and actually he had a minor sequencer with Stinking Cloud and Web, and Sinashira actually got webbed. So what we need to do here is throw in this Remove Paralysis to just get her out of there immediately. She might, of course, save next round, but let's not take any chances. Oh, and now she's improved invisible, now her contingency triggered. Okay, but we are out of that. This is proving to be way tougher of an encounter than I thought it would be. Anyway, that emotion hopelessness was of course ineffective because we have chaotic commands. Alright, guy. Dude. Finally. And he's only worth 7,000 experience. He was way tougher of an opponent than a lot of creatures that are worth way more than that. But anyway, we are done with him, finally. So yeah, her contingency, Sinashira's contingency triggered there when she got webbed. Because, you know, we lost control over her. And that was the contingency... the trigger for it was loss of control over our character, so now she has improved invisibility. And we get a very, very important potion and a nice ring from that Rook Transmuter. We have another potion of magic shielding, very nice. And this can go to Jaheira's potion case. And now we have the Ring of Fire Resistance that we have seen in Baldur's Gate 1, 40% fire resistance. And now we have some serious gear for at least one character to make them immune or almost immune to fire. So for example, Anomen, he has his special shield with 30% fire resistance. With that ring, he can have another 40, which gives him 70. And with the helmet that Keldorn right now has, he could have another 20. So he would be 90% resistant to fire. And that matters in this place. Later on, the final fight in this place, we are going to want to be protected against fire. Let's just go into this cave and finish our business with these different vampiric mists. Right there. And here we have Crimson Death, a higher level version of essentially the same thing. We'll see if Turn Undead... Yeah, it doesn't even work on that guy. Doesn't work too well. Because he is a much tougher version. And I'm not sure if it's even considered undead, this one. Anyway, we're going to be able to deal with it with no problem here with Anomen. And let's bring Sinashira over already. Do we have like anything else to loot from these hobgoblins? Doesn't seem like it. Alright, finally Anomen, thank you. Now let's just loot this place. Some minor stuff, although there is an Amulet of Protection +1 in there. And there's potentially one more fight in this cave. And then we're going to be done. Okay, here we have orcs again. Sometimes it can be like flesh golems. Or not actually flesh golem, but Ogrillions. Yeah, it's either orcs or Ogrillions. And here, let's just throw in a fireball to soften them up. Alright, and then we can go in. Here we can inspect this chasm, giving us another kind of hint as to what we might expect down there, especially since we have already seen, I guess, a kind of an opening like that in the Umar Temple ruins.
Yes.
Alright, that's going to be it. And here finally we have the entrance to the next level of this dungeon, and we are going to do that in the next episode. So as always, I thank you for watching this one, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.